Hi, my name is Julia Mounsey. I am a writer and a director, um, and I am working on a show called Protec Attac with my collaborator Peter Mills Weiss.
Hello, my name is Peter Mills Weiss. I am the co-writer and co-director of Protec, Attac, a show that will premiere next season at the SchauSpielHaus.
My oldest memory having to do with theater is when I was young, I used to dance ballet, and I remember doing a group piece with like me and three other little ballerinas. I think we were all like 7 years old, and we started doing it, and I felt like it wasn't going that well, so I stopped the piece and I asked our instructor if we could start again, and the parents thought it was really funny, but all the other ballerinas were really mad at me. That's my oldest memory having to do with performance.
The oldest memory I have of theater is in third grade. I was in a small class production of an adaptation of a Greek myth about Hermes and him stealing cattle from Apollo. And I believe that I showed my behind in the production, and it got a lot of laughs, which is, I guess, why I'm doing this now.
Peter and I have been working together for about 5 years. We found each other because we met at a sort of performance night, like an open mic type night, and we were both performing monologues, and our monologues sort of had a similar they had a similar approach to surprise, I felt, and we sort of knew that, and then we became friends, and here we are.
Before that, I was working primarily as a monologuist in New York theater, and then when I met Julia, I started to step back and direct the work alongside her. We were writing a show called Protec, Attac. The show was inspired by a lot of the things that are happening in America right now, and the energy of aggression, of offense and defense that is playing out, in our country. And I think that it was inspired a lot by the loss of Bernie Sanders in the Democratic primary. It was inspired also by the idea of having to ask politely for things that are absolutely crucial to your continued survival and existence. And that kind of performance, the performance of having to beg, of having to ask for things that you desperately need, and the polite tone and the right tone that you need to ask for those things.
And I guess we kind of want to think about how that feeling can sort of translate into performance, and we want to sort of experiment with begging, people begging, in all sorts of different ways, people asking for things, desperation. And the working title is Protec Attac because that comes from a meme, an internet meme that's actually been around for a couple years. That the meme in itself isn't very deep or meaningful, and I think, like all memes, was sort of created quickly and without any serious thought, but to us it's very evocative, because it just kind of feels like in this moment it's like protect and attack, those are the only two modes that we have. Like that's the binary that we exist in always. There is only defending your position, defending what you have, or attacking someone else. That's how it feels to be an American right now, I guess. Just sort of stylistically, some things that are important to us. We really value speaking plainly, performers speaking plainly to audiences, and not not a lot of decoration, not necessarily putting on a character or putting on a lot of made up stuff. I feel like I want our work to really feel like communication most of the time, as opposed to like artifice, I guess.
Honesty, but not honesty in the sense of like, boring. Honesty in the sense of like, this is vulnerable, this is difficult, and therefore this is true. I think that also not having something that looks or feels expensive is important to us. I think we think about sustainability a lot.
We're also very minimal. I think it's very important to us to be stylistically minimal. You're not going to see a lot of props or a lot of crazy costumes or a crazy set. That's not what we are about. It's very much about plain speech and about bodies and about communicating.
Yes. 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 That's all I got for you there. I don't know.
Yes. I think it is this having happened so recently is having a huge impact on how we design the show. I don't think we had any very serious ideas about the show before this happened. It was as this happened that we started really kind of getting excited about making this. But yeah, I think it's prompted us to. I think it's certainly prompted us to think about how we make things and what we want to make and what we want to say and what we want audiences to take away from this. I think it makes everything feel more urgent and more like, we always approach the work like everything matters, but now the urgency is so much more palpable, everything matters. Staying inside a lot, not doing much. It's been a really wonderful time for thinking, honestly. Just having long, empty days to think. I've actually been really appreciative of that. And of course, getting things done, but sometimes not. And that is great. How my life has changed. I have no job. I'm on unemployment. The government gives me money. And I write and read all day. Could be worse.
I've been spending time in Brooklyn and also in my parents' home, which is on the outside of New York City. And I don't know. It's bleak.
I would go to a bar and have a drink and talk to the bartender and smoke a cigarette.
I know exactly what I would do. I would get a slice of pizza. That's what I would do. I would go walk somewhere and I would look someone in the eye and I would order it and have it handed to me and I would eat it standing up. Yes.
Yeah. I think so. I think the health and well-being of people trumps art, if you'll excuse that word. I think it is the most important thing. I think it's interesting. I think it's something that Peter and I have been thinking about a lot. We actually have spent some time streaming, doing live streams on the internet since being in quarantine. And it's interesting to approach performance that way because it's not as simple as just like, doing what you would do on stage, doing it at home in front of the camera. Obviously, it's like a whole different thing with a whole different set of criteria and like things that are interesting about it and things that are uninteresting. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have a very poignant thought about it. I think that there's a lot of potential, but I also sort of think that I don't know. I'm not convinced that that's going to be what people want out of theater. I kind of, maybe I'm overly optimistic, but I kind of have this feeling that when we come out the other side of this, people are going to be really excited to just kind of watch someone on stage do things. Like, I think people are going to be excited to just be in rooms with people. And I kind of, it makes me want to strip our work down even more and have it be even less, like I want even less tech and less digital stuff. Because I feel like that excites me even more now.
I don't think that the skill sets like of theater, like working in theater, necessarily apply to like anything that's happening digitally. I disagree with the idea that like, oh, I'm a theater artist, therefore I can do X. I mean, Julia and I have been working on doing live stream stuff together, but I think what we found is that it has nothing to do with our skills in theater. It has more to do with lots of other difficult things that, we're just learning about. So I think that it's misguided, or not misguided is the wrong word, but I think that it's like, there's nothing fun about watching a show on YouTube that was lit for a live audience. So I guess I feel negatively about that. But I feel excited about, personally, theater artists learning new skills.
Yeah. It has already. It's pretty bleak.
I mean, I can't speak to anything internationally, but I think it will radically shift what's happening in New York right now. I think that, you're already seeing it in New York. We've had multiple places close. Tons of rehearsal spaces are being consumed by the pandemic. There's not a lot of money for the arts, especially experimental art or emerging art in America, and the institutions that were existing in this really fragile ecosystem are just being shellacked. They're being destroyed. And so I think that when we return, if there is a sort of like actual return, we're going to see the landscape be populated by a lot more independent and smaller scale works, just because there's not going to be the institutional support that there was prior to this.
I don't know, man. I think for a while it seemed like the consensus among all of us was, felt like me and everyone my age, we were all like, well, he's going to win again. I'm just, I'm preparing myself for it. He's going to win again. There's no way he won't, because the Democrats have nobody. Nobody's excited about Joe Biden. Nobody. But because of how he's been managing it, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like, I think Trump is very, very, he has this amazing talent for evading blame. Like anything wrong he does, he's just like, well, it was my fault. They did it. he's just relentless in that way, and I think that it works for him. But I don't know. Only time will tell. That's what I think. I think that the people who support him will support him no matter what because they want to. He's like a king to them. But the pandemic is certainly not over.
I think that Trump has a kind of impregnable base here in America, which is so consumed with how excellent and amazing he is that I don't know if his handling the pandemic will necessarily impact the perception of his base. I think that it's definitely inspired a lot more turnout amongst his detractors, of which I am one, if that's not already clear. So I think that it's going to be tight. But I don't know if I can go on record as saying he's more likely to win or lose. He'll lose. Let's be optimistic. He'll fucking lose.
Everything is really up in the air. We will hopefully get to produce work again in New York soon. We just don't know when. And in the meantime, we're writing. Working on various other projects and trying to live, trying to survive.
Living. Trying to survive. Trying to make sure that I'm moving in ways that are compassionate and I don't know, changative, destabilizing. I don't know.
Thank you. Be well.